chapter 36. Cornelia is writing a letter, and obviously we're going to have 4 embedded items at a minimum and earn you that free 100 for simply watching and learn your vocabulary, learn the content. So, Cornelia Flaviae SD. In English, when we are writing a letter, we say, "Dear so-and-so." But for the Romans, they would put the name of the person writing in the nominative, the person that would be written to, 2 or 4 in the dative, and then the letters SD, which stands for Salutem Deacon. Says greetings. Now, what they could do is the same thing that you could do if you were writing to, let's say, your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, whatever. You might not say dear so-and-so, you would say dearest so-and-so. You would use the superlative. The way by which they would do that is they would put in there plurimam, which means that they would write S-P-D. But here she's just writing to her friend Flavia. And so Cornelia says greetings, dicit salutem, salutem dicit, to Flavia, the receiver of this greetings, the receiver of the direct object. Hodie, today, and here we have an ablative on, by, with, because of, from, and on, at, the November nones. Now, when are the November nones? Remember, the nones are almost always the 5th, except for 4 months. March, May, July, October, and November is not one of them, so it is November 5th. For those 4 months, it would be the 7th. So today, on the November nones, I accepted, I received, accipio, accipite, accipia, catus. That letter which, quam. Remember, the quam can come from the qui, quae, quod, cuius, 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 quic, 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 quim, quam. It is a relative pronoun that is introducing a relative clause that I've underlined in red. The letter which you wrote, did write, have written, scribo, scribere, scripsi, on the calends. And which calends? On the November calends. So that would be November 1st. So the letter was written on the 1st, and she received it on the 5th. Subject verb, legi, lego, legate, legi, lectus. A perfect stem, L long EG with a perfect ending, E is to it. I read it, referring to the letter, again and again. Because I miss, I desire, but here's going to be more like miss. I miss you, not greatly, not magnopere, but maxime superlative, most greatly. Now here's another quam. This quam is the quam of exclamation. It is not taking as an antecedent and introducing its own relative clause, and so therefore it's the quam exclamatory. How quickly your letter, nominative subject, arrived. Venio, venire, veni ventus. That long E tells you it's a perfect stem. Perfect stem, perfect stem. Arrived, did arrive, here. Only modo. Now remember, modo with a long O at the end would be from the noun modus, modi, meaning method or way. But here with a short O, it means only. Only, by way, because of from, in 5 days. The word 5 does not decline. Only 1, 2, and 3 does. So she is marveling at the quickness in which the letter has arrived. Nevertheless, she continues writing her letter. Yesterday, and I gotta go find my subject, my dad received, accepted, again, accipio, accipite, accipi, another letter having been written. Perfect passive participle from scribo, the 4th principal part. At Brindisium. We're going to learn soon that this is what we call the locative case of a city, town, or small island. At Brindisium. This letter, haec epistola, vix, hic haec hoc, the one scripta, again a perfect passive participle. You know that it is modifying because it is the same case. Nominative, nominative, singular, singular, feminine, feminine, number and gender. Having been written by Valerius, whomever that is, on the day before the October Ides. So when would that be? The October Ides, remember? March, May, July, October. For those 4 months, the Ides are on the 15th, not the 13th. So this letter, having been written on the October Ides, or the day before the October Ides, so October 14th, it arrived to Rome after post 20 days. Valerius, ut skis, skio, skire, skivi, skitis. Ut, with that kind of a verb, means as. So Valerius, as you know, is a handsome young man. Adlescanes, adlescantus, is a young man, somebody probably between the ages of 17 to 40, something of that nature. is a handsome and an energetic, strapping, if you would like, young man who has delayed. Now here we are going to start seeing in this passage, because the next chapter they're going to be introduced to what we call deponent verbs. Deponent verbs look passive but translates actively. So it looks passive, it looks like it should be has been verbed, but from this verb, moror, morari, morata sum, we will translate it actively. Delayed, waited, or stayed. Cum patre suo, cum plus an ablative means with his father, for a long time in Bithynia. And now, another deponent verb. Again, it looks passive, but it translates actively. That's what deponent verbs are. Regredior, regredi, regressa sum. He returned, has returned into Italy, in plus accusative, to Brundisium. Let me point out, cities, towns, and small islands often do not need a preposition. Now, Bithynia, that's a country. It does. But Brundisi, at Brundisium, if the city, town, or small island is in the accusative, to Brundisium, and immediately we see the ablative, from Brundisium. So accusative, to that city, town, small island, ablative, from that city, town, small island, and we eventually will learn the locative case, at that city, town, or small island. So now, he has gone back. Again, another deponent verb. Remember, they look passive. Looks passive translates actively. Looks passive translates actively. Into Italy, to Brundisium. He proficiscator, another deponent verb. Again, deponent verbs look passive, translates actively. And this is a third conjugation. So what does long E mean in a third conjugation? Future. He, not will be verb, but he will set out from Brundisium, ablative, on the November Ides. So when are the November Ides? Remember, that's not one of those 4 months, March, May, July, October, so the Ides for them are going to be the 13th. And he will arrive, if I see I long E, future it'll be, to Rome. You see in the accusative, to Brundisium, to Rome, on the third day before the December calends. So if he's going to set out from Brundisium on November 13th, the Ides, he's going to arrive on the third day before the December calends. Remember, the December calends are December 1st. So, the 1st, 30th of November, and then the 29th of November. So he will arrive on November 29th. Quam libenter. How gladly. Libenter, an adverb. From libanes, libentis, as an adjective. So how gladly, again a quam exclamatory, I will see him. Again, versus means again. However, obviously, I will see you more gladly. She quickly realizes she might be talking about this boy too much, and it might start making Flavia feel as though she's being forgotten. So she's quickly trying to recover. So, gladly I will see him, but, however, obviously, Sane, I will see you more gladly when you will come, if I see I long E, to Rome. Again, city, towns, and small islands. Accusative, towards it. Ablative, away from it. And locative, at it. Then, we all will receive you most gladly. So she doubles it up. Makes it comparative, more gladly. Then makes it superlative, most gladly. For that boy, only gladly. So she then goes on the second page to address some items that she has seen in the letter. So your first word that is going to obviously be put in is in line 9. Proficiscator. So that's your first word you need to put in there. Proficiscator. That's your first word. Your second word, libentius. L-I-B-E-N-T-I-U-S for the quiz. Now we move on to the second page, and we'll have 2 more words on this page. In Epistola Tua, in your letter, you were asking many neuter plural things about urban dangers, about city dangers. She wants to know, what's it like in the big city? Is it scary? She then goes on to say, 3 dies ab hinc, 3 days ago, in a certain apartment building, qui quod with the DAM, it's going to be a certain, but you don't look at the dom part, you look at the qui quod part to see long A, modifying that apartment building. We saw, a huge fire, a big fire in Kindian. I have seen, perfect tense with a perfect ending, nothing more miserable ever. This is not the adverb more miserably, but because it's modifying something neuter in the nominative or accusative here, it has that IUS instead of an IOR. So, nothing more miserable ever have I seen. Quamquam, anum. For, although the maior, comparative, the greater, the larger part of the inhabitants escaped, fugia, fugere, fugi, there's no fourth principal part, it is defective. So that long U tells me it's a perfect stem, is the it, did escape, has escaped out of the danger, a mom and 2 children, whom, here's an example again, of a relative clause. The children whom and the mom whom we spotted on the 3rd floor, that mom and the 2 children, non poterat, were not able. This is nothing more than sum esse in the imperfect tense, eramarasarat, with a POT prefix meaning able. If it were pluperfect, you would have to take the perfect stem, posum, posse, potui, and then you would have erat. So, do you see the difference between were able, just eramarasarat with a prefix, POT, versus a perfect stem and a pluperfect ending? Had been able. They were not able to escape. So she's telling all about the sad fire. Alas, these miserable people, we are substantivizing it. Adjective. Have been overcome, were overwhelmed, opprima, opprimere, oppressi. Present of the verb to be plus the perfect passive participle makes for a perfect passive expression by the flames. And when I cogitate, I think about that mom and children, present active, I am moved. If I were to have comoio, that means I move. Here, passively, I am moved, as in emotionally. I am moved very much. Walde is an adverb that means very much. She's then going to go on to tell more exciting, dangerous times in the city. Chapter 35, remember, is the mugging of Euclides. Yesterday. Vesperi means in the evening. So where we get the word vespers. Vespers is a term that we use in English to indicate evening prayers. Vesperna is like an evening meal after the cana, like a midnight snack. And so vesperi here means in the evening. Yesterday in the evening, our Euclides, noster Euclides, the one redianes. This is a present active participle from eo ire. Eo ire is to go. The present active participle is eanes, 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 and then all other forms, then all the other cases, have that as the stem with third declension. So eanes, if you were to look at it over here, third declension, it would be eanes, euntis, eunti, euntim, eunti, and so forth and so on. And so only eanes in the nominative, and then it's euntis, eunti, eunti, em, so forth and so on. But here it's modifying nominative. So our Euclides, the one going back from the city to home, he saw, weeded, perfect tense, wedio vedere, weedy, perfect stem, is it, 2 men, exeuntes. Do you see? There it is that I just saw. Exeuntes, going out, a popina quadam, out of a certain bar. Qui homines, which men? This is what we call a linking qui. Merely a word that really you don't have to say which. You could replace it with a hikakok, he homines. You could replace it with ele alud, ili homines. You could replace it with id. These men, those men, them the men, or they the men. So which men? These men. When they spotted Euclides in the accusative, immediately secuti sunt. Another example of a deponent verb. Sequor, sequi, secutus sunt. Deponent verbs look passive. This looks passive. You want to say they have been verbed. But it translates actively. They did do the following. And they followed him. Euclides tried. Another example of a deponent verb. Looks passive, translates actively. And I'm going to give you a principal part sheet with all the most common deponent verbs. You just got to know whether it's deponent or not. You got to memorize it. He tried. We want to say he was verbed. He has been verbed. But no, it's deponent. Looks passive, translates actively. He tried. He did try. He has tried to run away, to escape, but in vain. Conatus est, 2 words. That is your third item that you're putting into the embedded quiz. Now this is different. Down at the bottom it says the whatever, the whatever. But what we have here is ablative of degree of difference. By what implied amount that guy, meaning Euclides, ran more quickly, you see, by that amount. So by what amount? Ablative degree difference. By that amount. Ablative degree difference. The men ran more quickly. So as he picked up the pace, the men picked up the pace by equal degrees. Ablative degree of difference with a comparative adverb, more quickly, and in a comparative adverb, more quickly. Facile, easily. Again, another deponent. Deponents look passive, translate actively. Easily, they overtook him. Secutisunt, they followed. Consecutisunt, they overtook. They actually caught up to. Oh, most miserable Euclides, or accusative of exclamation. Do you see how it's miserrimum Euclidem? He, that's our subject of vulneratus est, he has been wounded. But which he? The one. Having been grabbed, corripio corripere, by the robbers, perfect passive participle, modifying our understood subject he, meaning Euclides, having been grabbed by the robbers, and ac, having been struck percutio percutere percussi, like a percussion instrument, by the clubs, by their billies, their bats, he was wounded, has been wounded. Do you see how here deponent verb looks passive, translates active? Here a non-deponent looks passive, translates passively. Was wounded, has been wounded, very, most, gravely, seriously, heavily. Indeed. Please note that QUI-DEM is not the same as the quiquaquo with the DAM. And so that would be a certain with the DAM on the Q word, but with a DEM on the QUI, that's just an adverb that means indeed. Indeed, scarcely, barely weeks, he dragged Troxit himself home. Said, but enough about dangers. Satis, that's where we get the word satisfy. It just means enough. Enough about dangers. That is your fourth item. Satis. S-A-T-I-S. They're going to be 5. So satis is your fourth. Write that down. But enough about dangers. She's been talking about all this doom and gloom. She wants to lighten the letter up a little bit. Today, Mama bought. M-O-M-A-A-M-I-E-M-T-U-S. Perfect stem, perfect ending, E-S-D-It. Bought for me a very, most beautiful palla. Remember, that's the glorified shawl. A palla which placuit, placeo, placere, to please, which pleased me very much. This mihi is the dative indirect object receiving the direct object. This mihi is the object of the verb placeo, which takes dative objects. It's the special verb, because it doesn't just mean to please, it means to be pleasing to. Said, but I am sad. Tristis, tristis, triste. Sad. Because I always drag the loom. All day long she spins spinning wool. The boys get to go off to school and do other fun things, but not her in the city. Remember, she loved Baiae because of the freedom. She says, I am sad. But then she quickly corrects herself like she did before to indicate why she's really sad. However, I am most sad, tristissima, not sad tristis, but tristissima, because I do not see you. She says, I'm not sad because I'm bored, I'm sad because I miss you. Perhaps you, if I see I long ye, future it'll be, will come to Rome, cum patre, with your dad. None expects a yes answer. Surely, the opposite of none is noom. which would expect a no answer. Surely not, but this is expecting a yes answer. Surely you will persuade. Now, the verb persuade or persuadere, it does mean to persuade, and it takes a dative, because you're giving persuasion to someone. But literally, it means to make an accusative thing favorable to a dative thing. Surely you will make this idea of coming to Rome, it's neuter, singular, hic, haec, hoc, whose, wick, 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 honk, honk, hoke, accusative, singular. Surely you will persuade this thing to your father. You will make favorable this thing to your dad. If it were noum, it would be surely you are not going to do that, right? Versus surely you will do it. None, yes answer, noum, no answer. I desire, I miss, te, you, plurimum. That's superlative. Not a lot, not multum, not plus, not more, but I miss you very much. Scribe, command, drop off the ER, or drop off the RE. Write, quam, plus a superlative, as often as possible. Saipe is often, but saipissime, most often, very often, and with a quam, as often as possible. Goodbye. And she says cease. Cease is an example of si, wis, just squished together. Literally, if you wish, if you want. But it can mean idiomatically, please. And so it's her way of saying please. It's kind of like if I say, pass the salt, will ya? Will ya is equivalency of please. Please pass the salt, will you? And so it's the same here. Write as often as possible, please. Be strong as command. And that's how you end the letter. There's no need to sign it. And the reason why there's no need to sign it is because you do it at the very beginning. We start out, dear so-and-so. They start out with the signing of their name. The person to whom they are writing, to whom in the dative, SD salutum dicit, and then at the very end, it is just Wale. That is your fourth and final item, SIS. As simple as that. Or fifth item, I should say. Last item, SIS, to earn yourself the free 100. Thanks for watching.